I'd especially like to welcome Constable Bryce Haight from the Rcmp. I'd like to thank you for attending tonight, Constable. Thank you very much. And I'd like to thank everyone who's watching and welcome everyone who's watching on social media as well, and everyone who's here tonight. So with that, I'd like to acknowledge the land upon which we gather is the traditional territory of the Mi'kmaq, and we pay our respects to the Indigenous Mi'kmaq people of this territory, past, present, and future. Second item on our agenda tonight is a declaration of conflict of interest. If any councillor or any staff member has any conflict of interest in any of the items that we're going to be covering here tonight on our agenda, please indicate so now. If not, I will ask for approval of the agenda unless there's items to be added or changes or deletions or additions. So moved. Thank you. Second? Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Those against? Motion carried. The minutes of our meeting of February 9th, 2022 and the special town council meeting the next day, February 10th, 2022 are in your package. Are there any additions, deletions, or changes to those minutes, either of those sets of minutes? If not, I'll ask for a motion for approval of those minutes.
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Okay, is there any business, maybe just take a moment and look through those minutes quickly to see if there's any business arising from the minutes that we're not going to be covering tonight. Is there anything that you're aware of, Jeremy? No? Anyone have anything they'd like to follow up on from those minutes? Okay, if not, we'll move to the next item, which is presentations from the floor. Jeremy, do you have any presentations from the floor tonight? No? Okay, the next item is my report. It's in your package. First thing I'd like to do is just say that I'm very sad to report that longtime Stratford resident Gordon Busgay has passed away. He was a personal friend and he contributed so much to our town. He was passionate in his efforts to make Stratford the best community possible, and he worked tirelessly towards that goal. He was a member of one of the 8 founding families of Stratford, and he embodied a big part of our history and culture. He'll be greatly missed. My sincere condolences to his friends and family. I'd also like to, on a happier note, congratulate resident Mary Hughes, who won Senior Islander of the Year Award from the provincial government, and also to resident Dr. Trevor Jane, who won, it's not Alumni of the Year, it's a Distinguished Alumnus from Acadia University. I'd like to congratulate them both for that recognition. It's well deserved. Other highlights, we had a couple of meetings, I guess, to discuss financial and budget issues with the Crossroads and Area Fire Company executive. We were, I think most council was present for the virtual public meeting to see the new, the provincial plans for a proposed new roundabout in the Trans-Canada Highway in Stratford. And we had a meeting along with our Chief Administrative Officer, Jeremy Crosby, and Mayor of Charlottetown, Philip Brown, and Mayor Cornwall, Minerva McCourt. We met virtually with MLA James Elward and his deputy minister and managers to discuss the need for increased transit funding. Right now we get around 230,000, is it, Jeremy? Something like that, and we're looking for basically even just applying inflation to that, we should be getting a lot more for transit funding, and I think that point was very well made at the meeting. We had 3 special budget meetings of council and managers, and had the pleasure of participating in the launch of the draft, unveiling of the draft budget last night. Chair of Finance, Councillor Gail MacDonald, did a great job in presenting that budget, and And to everyone who worked on that, my congratulations. Jill Burrage, Councillor Jill Burrage, the Vice Chair of Finance, Wendy Watts, our Community Business and Engagement Officer, and Kim O'Connell, our Director of Finance, along with our Chief Administrative Officer, Jeremy Crosby, did a great job, and all council did a great job, and all staff of putting that budget together. I think it's something we can all be proud of, and we look for input from the public on that.
I thought it was a great budget. The comments you made in the email today, I thought we were one of our best budgets. I know I'm here 4 years, I guess, but this is probably my best budget I looked at.
Yeah, it was really
Real
well
good budget.
done. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
No taxes raised, no utility rates, nothing raised, and we gained some stuff too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Had the pleasure of presenting a certificate of recognition to a fine young man, Maxine Dunphy. He won a national award for his video demonstration of his amazing soccer skills. I'm not sure if everybody saw that video, but it's really something to see. And then one of the highlights was, along with Recreation Chair Councillor Steve Gallant, had the honor of participating in the annual Youth Centre Awards night and helped present awards for volunteerism to members of our great youth centre. It's just a really heartwarming and really inspiring to see the amount of volunteerism in our community among our youth, the things they do for our town. They just had a walkathon. I'm sure you're going to cover it in your update,
Yep.
Councillor Gallant, but it's just amazing. I went there they walked all night. It's just the things they do to raise money so they can help people and do good work, and volunteer work is just really, really great. And I had a couple of meetings. I had one meeting last Friday with our Member of Parliament for Stratford, the Honourable Lawrence Macaulay, to discuss Stratford issues and really to make the case for the huge need for federal investment in infrastructure for our growing community. And then I had a follow-up meeting, I guess it was Monday, Jeremy? We met with Monday to follow up on some of the issues. So we spent quite a bit of time, and we met his Chief of Staff, Trish Bay, who is also an attorney, and she's made her aware of some of the issues on Stratford, and hopefully we have an ally there to try to get us the funding we need to build the infrastructure that this is badly needed in our community. Had a couple of interviews with CBC about short-term rentals, the results of the latest census, resident survey, and Stratford's contribution to the 2023 Canada Games. So that's pretty well. Any questions on my report? That's my report. Okay.
Just a comment, Your Worship, there. I know that you acknowledged Buzz Gay, and just a quick little story. I remember back a number of years ago, we were trying to get the crosswalk over here between Murphy's, the home hardware, to the Sobeys, and we had Buzz was adamant that he was going to get that crosswalk there because there was a bit of an accident, I think, with a bicycle or whatever there, and he worked hard to get that, and I mean he worked hard. He was down sitting in their offices downtown numerous occasions. They would tell me they had a visit from Buzz today or a phone call. But anyway, I remember we set up a meeting with the minister, who was Ron McKinley at the time. I think you remember, Jeremy. And so I believe Robert Hughes and Dave Dunphy, the mayor at the time, and Jeremy, I believe, and myself, we went down with the meeting. And when we got there, Ron McKinley, or Buzz Gay was there. And we had some drawings done up, and of course the province had drawings done up, and just on some ideas, and they were talking about the right-hand turn going in at that time. There was all kinds of things happening. But when we got there, Buzz had an old sheet of paper. I don't know where he got it, from a scribbler or someplace, but he had his own drawings done up. And the minister, McKinley at that time, all he wanted to do was talk to Buzz Gay. We might as well have went home, because he had more time for that guy, and Buzz was explaining to him what we wanted, and you know, and behold, before time we did get it, and Buzz deserves a lot of credit because he pushed for that big time, pushed for it.
Yeah.
But it was funny, we had these professional drawings, probably paid big money for, and he had a little piece of paper. And Ron went, oh, no, what do you got there, Buzz? And he'd be going, oh, yeah, I see. And so it was, he worked hard for the town.
He did,
Yeah.
he really did.
We'll miss him.
Yeah, he also was mainly responsible for the turnoff lane right at the intersection at Sobeys and the Petrocan intersection.
Yeah,
And he gave me a list one time of all the things he's either accomplished or worked on for the town.
yeah.
And it was about 53 items over the years that he's been involved in. And
Yeah.
and he really he wasn't patting himself on the back. He's
No,
just
he
saying,
wanted
just so
no
you know,
credit.
these are the things that were important to me, and these are the things
Yeah.
that either have been done or
Yeah.
that you should continue to work on, you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
so.
He wouldn't let up. He'd
Yeah.
come to a meeting and say, I was talking to this minister, that minister. And they all knew him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he was great,
He's a
great
guy.
great community resident, and we're going to really miss him. He takes a lot of the memories he's got go back
Yeah.
to well before Stratford.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. Just one other thing I forgot to mention. Last evening, we had a meeting with Frank Morrison, was it, Jeremy? Yeah, to celebrate Stratford becoming the first smoke-free community. He thought in Canada, and he also said possibly in the world, that I'm not sure he was going to verify that, but he was quite proud of it, and it was a celebration. I think everyone saw the email. Councillor Smith was there as well. Anything you wanted to mention about that, Councillor Smith?
Just the fact that from the 1960s to present, we have come a long way.
Yeah.
And the fight continues, but we have come a long way. And he's made some good changes in our community.
Yeah.
And he has a group together that are going to keep on lobbying the town for certain things to get done. So
Yeah.
I look forward to discussions.
Yep, yep. So right now, I think the only place that's not smoke-free in our town is private property, you know, so that's really quite an accomplishment. Okay, that's my report. Any other comments or questions? If not, we'll go to the next item on the agenda. The Chief Administrative Officer report. Chief Administrative Officer Jeremy Crosby.
My report is in your package, Your Worship. I'll go over a couple of the highlights. We had an excellent presentation from the Pace Atlantic Group with regard to the switch program, and Stratford is really blazing the trail with regard to uptake on this program. We've gone through our first installment of money through FCM, and we did receive the second installment, and we're starting to get into that. And they're indicating that, you know, within a year and a half, we're probably going to be all through the actual funding through that program, which is unheard of from other programs that they've been involved with. So Stratford residents are certainly taking up the program with regard to solar panels and heat pumps and new windows and insulation, and it's been a great program so far. Did a lot of negotiations with regard to subdivisions, and budget's been a big topic over the last month, and all the meetings are in my memo, but I'm here to answer any questions if anyone has some.
I'm not sure who is responsible for, we made a change to our budget process this year, and I'm sure maybe you're going to mention that as part of your update, Councillor McDonald. Just, anyway, I think that there was a great change. I think it was by staff preparing a draft budget and bringing it to council for input. I think it seemed to work really well, and it ended up being, depending on how many comments we get back from the public, to this point, I think it's been a really good process, I think, from council and from my point of view.
It's been a team effort with all the department heads and council to come up with a budget this year, and you know it's been a trying year to try to come up with a budget that's balanced and make sure that we didn't have any tax increases, but we were able to do that, and hopefully it'll be passed in the next meeting. So.
Yep. Any comments or questions for Chief Administrative Officer? Thanks very much for your report. Okay, we'll now go to Safety Services report. Chair of that committee is Councillor Derek Smith. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Your Worship. Before I start my report tonight, I want to personally thank Gail McDonald and her team to represent Safety Services last night at the budget. It's a well-known fact that a lot of cost increase came out of my department, and she spoke well and justified the means for the cost increase. So personally, thank you, Gail, and to your team. All right, so Safety Services, snowstorm. No meeting last month, and we're going to have one this coming March and fill in the things that we missed from the last meeting and add on new things to this month. So there is no report from Safety Services. Street light report, Jeremy, I don't think we have anything to add this month.
Do have one coming to the next meeting, but
Okay,
it'll be in the package.
stay tuned. Okay, so let's move on to the Rcmp report. Last month, Deputy Mayor Clow wanted to know the members stationed within the Stratford detachment. The council, as of today, have been informed of the members who have been stationed within the town of Stratford. I'm not comfortable with releasing their names for security and privacy information, but I might add that out of all the members we have here, they average out to 13 years of service. So we do have a few lengthy services, some with just beginning out, just over 5 years of service, but there is a good mixture of old and new. All right, on to the Rcmp report. Okay, so I will call on Constable Bryce Haig to step to the podium now, and we'll ask some questions as needed. Okay, for the month, we had 10 motor vehicle accidents, 2 reportable damages. All 10 seem to be on Main Road, Stratford Road, Hopeton Road, Kinloch Road, and the Trans-Canada Highway. Tickets for the month, 102 tickets written for the month. Needless to say, there was a lot of non-moving tickets, speeding, suspended, cannabis, insurance, seatbelts, intersections, and cell phones. So that is a big increase over the usual months. Also, warning tickets, there were 41 written for the month. There were 4 calls under the Mental Health Act, and all 4 were transported to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital for assessments. There are only 2 calls under the 911 Act, which is very good. Other than that, we had 5 reports of theft under 5,000, and that related to gasoline. And I would expect that that number might be going up in the future. Hopefully not, but we all know about gasoline. 23 NSC checks for the month, 14 false alarms for the month. Impaired by drug, 6. And the seatbelt violations and everything else has already been reported on. That is the statistics part of the stuff. Other notes that I have for policing.
Councillor,
Yeah.
can I ask a question about the stats? Hello, Constable. I'm just noticing on the February report, it says there were 22 seatbelt violations, but on the mayor's report, it says 8. Do you know?
I noticed that myself when I was reviewing it, and
Okay.
yeah.
There might be just warnings or calls?
No, some of it might, the numbers might be coming from the provincial priority unit that sometimes comes into town and writes the tickets, and I think they're being captured on one report but not captured on the other, is what I
Okay.
believe it is.
So it is more like 22 than?
It should be a total of 22, yeah.
So
yes,
that's great.
yeah.
And if that unit writes the ticket, Oh, perhaps you're not, perhaps you can't answer this question. I'm just wondering if the fines come to the town of Stratford.
I can't confirm it. I can get back to you and let you know. I know in previous divisions I worked, other provinces I worked in, if it was a provincial unit, it went to the provincial budget no matter where they wrote it. I can't speak to how the provincial priority unit does it here. I'm not a member of that unit, so I don't know. But I can certainly let you know, or Corporal
That'd be
Lotley
great.
can follow up with it.
That's
Yeah.
great, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Thank you.
Any more questions in regards to statistics? Okay. Last month, we had a notification from Corporal Lutley that they were going to be setting up snowmobile checkpoints. Can you give us an update on that, Constable?
Yeah, sure can, but first I get into that, I just want to thank you for inviting me here tonight. Corporal Lutley sends his regrets. He's unfortunately found himself in a situation that a lot of people have in the last 2 years facing right now with him and his family. So he does send his regrets, so he's asked me to fill in. And I'll just take a minute to introduce myself. I am Constable Bryce Haight, and I am now one of the 2 newest members to the Stratford complement of officers. Originally an Islander, born and raised, grew up in Montague. It's kind of ironic how Constable Smith used to police my town, and now I police his town. And I had the privilege of meeting Councillor Glant as well, too, at a previous scene. Me and Constable Buchanan were the latest 2 officers that just came over and began their post here in Stratford. I've been back home on the island for almost 2 years now, 2 years this summer. I spent 13 years in Nova Scotia, and so I was lucky I didn't have to go too far from home. And my desire always, just like a true Islander, is to come home and be home. So my wife and my youngest son is still living with us, so we're home now, and I live in Johnson's River, so eventually whenever we amalgamate, I'm sure we'll get to that point that someday I'll be a citizen of Stratford. So Councillor Smith, in answer to your question, Corporal Lutley and I were planning on doing a joint checkpoint patrol with us physically on the snowmobiles on the outskirts and in and around the town 2 Fridays ago, but the weather didn't cooperate, so we weren't able to get out. It was one of those days when the temperature had changed drastically and it miled up, and the trails weren't, it had miled up overnight and the day previous, so the trails weren't fit for us to be on, or we would have been ran off the trails by the Snowmobile Association for damage to them. But we were in contact with Conservation. One of their officers, Brett McKinnon, he actually lives, I think he's the last house in Stratford, out on Mount Herbert Road. And I've worked closely with Brett, and he's been made aware of any complaints we get. I pass on him, but snowmobiles in the town or on the outskirts or any issues. They do more active patrols than we do on snowmobiles, and but we do have access to snowmobiles that the Queen's District Rcmp do own, and so if the weather cooperates, Mike and I are planning on getting out again, but it's all weather dependent.
All right, then, thank you very much. So, moving on, the town is actively, we do have the police report now from the provincial government. We have been going over it, and the town management and council will be meeting in the near future to discuss what we want and need going forward. We also have our report now about the back pay for the RCMP, and that is under negotiations with the federal government. And of course, we don't talk about negotiations when they're ongoing. And that basically is my police report for the month. Now, I'm sure we had some questions. We'll open the floor.
I'd just like to welcome Constable Haight to Stratford, and thank you for coming here, and welcome. I hope your stay here is great. I hope you're here for a good long time, and
I hope so too, yeah.
that it's quiet. I hope it's very quiet while you're here.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So if there's no more questions, we can let the good constable get back to what he does best. And be forewarned, public, the RCMP are out there.
Thanks for coming,
Thank you,
Constable.
folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, we will move on to 9D, Humane Society report. Nothing special to advise the council or the public on this month. The statistics are there and will be posted on our website for reading. Is there any questions on Humane Society? Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
No, good. They do about 21 patrols a month, right?
Yes, according to their statistics, yeah.
Thank you.
So I think it's money well spent, but that's me. Okay, so we will move on to 9E. This is something near and dear to my heart. I will not stop yelling from the rooftops. I will not stop beating the drums. I will not stop blowing the horns, because transit is in place, and after the last 2 weeks, we realize how valuable transit is to a community. Now, the price of gas has gone up drastically. Everybody is feeling the pain. But the price of transit has not gone up. It is there, it is running, there are seats available. And I want to tell the public that we have transit in place. But in order for us to expand transit, it has to be used. And I want everybody, if they would, to sit down with a piece of paper and figure out what the cost of driving their car across that bridge to the city of Charlottetown, parking in it all day and coming back home, and what is the cheapest route for them. We had an on-demand system within the town. It was not used, but the on-demand system basically picked you up at your door, dropped you off at the main bus station in Stratford, and let you drive to Charlottetown for the cost of $2 total. And that is picking you up at your door and driving you to the bus and taking the bus across town. $2 each way. And if the people want to get on board with transit, we can probably look at an on-demand system within this town. We have the infrastructure in place. We have the buses, and all we need to do is use it, and we can expand it. So that is my speech for the day, and I'm going to bring this up each and every month until something happens. Now, we see CAO walking up to the podium.
If I could just add to that, Councillor Smith, my understanding the province is reducing or subsidizing the transit passes for the month of April. So they're reducing the cost from $58.50 for an adult pass down to $20. For the student pass from $40.50 down to $10, and for the seniors it's also $40.50 down to $10. So that's a great initiative by the province, and we really welcome that. I also think that that'll help with ridership in the future. It'll get people on the transit bus that haven't been there before. So I just wanted to mention that. We were consulted on that yesterday, and I think they did announce that in the House. So just wanted to bring that up.
I think it's free too for kids 12 and under or something. Kids, I think it is.
No. So the transit is there, and I know it's a worrisome about going to your pumps and putting gasoline in your vehicles. And with the price of gas, up goes the price of groceries and anything else that's brought by truck to this province. And this is why the town of Stratford is trying to develop its core area, so the citizens moving to Stratford will have a close contact with the businesses now here and the businesses coming. But transit is a cheap, cheap way of saving money, so please consider transit. Getting to the numbers, we had 82 riderships per day within Stratford, and that coincides with 2017, and the numbers are slowly beginning to climb. So
2022, or 2021.
2021 and 2017. So we had quite an increase in transit until COVID hit us, and then it went right back down.
Yeah.
But I have not given up in transit. Transit is needed.
Oh, yeah.
We have it in place.
Councillor, there was an interview taking place in CBC the other morning in Stratford. There's a bicycle shop here in Stratford, and they were interviewing the person that owns that business. They can't get bikes. They're having trouble getting bicycles in. He has a few, but they're few and far between. They get them as best they can, but they talked to Charlottetown, Cornwall, and different areas, and they were saying that this active transportation that we have over the bridge is a big thing now. And they predict that this summer you're going to see more bicycles and people on that active transportation trail than ever before, because of the gas prices and whatever. And that's why it's so important to get that piece of multi-purpose trail on the Trans-Canada Highway, because people can come down Kinloch or wherever, Mason, and get to town on a trail. So they're expecting big volumes of bicycles and people walking across that bridge this year.
I did a little bit of research about bicycles. Electric bicycles have gone up $500 in 1 year.
Yeah.
All right, now, our CAO had experience in Quebec City with electric bicycles, and the town can and will be looking at the electric bikes within the town, within Charlottetown, on a cost per basis. So we are trying to help out, but we need people to take transit. Have I said that enough?
Well, we talked about getting bicycles and renting them out, did we not?
With the e-bikes.
Pardon?
The e-bikes?
No, bicycles, you can rent them for the day, or you can rent them for an hour or two, and they have them in other cities, you'll see them.
E-bikes.
Bicycles, yeah.
We did talk about it in our budgeting, and it's not in the capital budget at this point because we don't have all the information from Charlottetown and the province with regard to funding, but I think it's something that we can revisit if we do get a good arrangement there, but definitely we're going to continue to work on that.
Well, now, Councillor Clow, it's quite easy to walk to Charlottetown now, the active train station, so
Yeah.
we don't need
I've done it
bicycles.
before.
We need the feet.
I've done it before,
Yeah.
yeah. Left my car in town overnight.
That was a nice walk.
Any more questions on transit? And if not, we can move on to the fire company. Calls for 2022. Now, before I start my report, I do have a short statement to make. It has been my policy while on council that from time to time I give a brief report about incidents and or about a volunteer and the role they play in the town. Today, I would like to inform council about the Crossroads Fire Department new Deputy Fire Chief, David Walsh. David is a resident of Stratford and is married and a father to two. He works in the technology field with an international company. Dave's interests are in woodworking and all sports, and to this means he has been a coach in a number of youth sports teams over the year. He's an active volunteer firefighter for 16 plus years. He has always been interested in taking a leadership role within the department. Therefore, he has taken different courses in order to obtain his new position. I should note that the fire chief and David have taken on the task of making changes to the fire department to realign the company for today's needs. Personally, want to thank David for his dedication to both the fire department and the citizens of Stratford. Thank you. Okay, the statistics for the month are in your packages. There's nothing really outstanding in regards to the numbers, no big incident. So I will discuss a few other things that are going on with the fire board itself. The fire board has asked for an increase in payment to them for the operational needs of the fire department. We did have a meeting with the executive, sat down and had a lengthy discussion with them. There was back and forth negotiations, and in the end, they have justified, in our opinion, the need for their cost increase, and that has been, or hopefully is to be granted. One of their needs is that they need an administrative assistant, both for the fire board and the fire department. There is multiple paperwork now being done, and instead of having somebody off the fire company and or the fire board doing up this stuff, we're going to hire an administrative assistant to do this paperwork up for us and check into different revenue stream needs or payments we can receive from different organizations. I'm happy to report that we put the application out. We had a large number of applicants, and there's open for another week, and there are well-qualified applicants within that group. So that is great to hear. All right. So the fire board is basically had his meeting, passed his budget, and does his usual thing every month. However, I would like now to talk about the fire company itself. As I've previously mentioned, I have asked different organizations within safety services to get ready for the future. The fire company were first to step up and take on this role. We have a new fire chief and a new deputy chief, and they have done the following for us. Their recruitment drive is now completely different, in which they hold an open house, and they have open and frank discussions with anybody showing up about what it is to be a firefighter. That goes a long way. They had a meeting, and to my understanding, they had 15 applicants, 10 interviews, and 6 people were selected, and a bunch of other people were put on a waiting list. There are presently 48 firefighters in the company. In regards to training, there are 9 people, firefighters, who are taking the level 1 training, and 7 people who are taking the level 2 training. They are also taking ice rescue, rapid intervention, leadership training, and diversity, equity, and inclusion. The structure of the fire department has been realigned. There is now a chief, and underneath the chief is the deputy chief and the safety officer. In other words, the safety officer reports directly to the chief about the safety courses needed. Under the deputy chief, there is a training officer. He reports directly to the deputy chief. There are 3 platoons. Each platoon is made of a captain in charge, and under each platoon there are 2 teams, and each team is rated by a lieutenant. So the structure right now is a chief, deputy chief, 3 captains, and 6 lieutenants. And then the teams are made up of everything. They're encouraged to take on leadership roles, courses, so if they want to move up in the rank structure and get their positions named above, they're welcome to do so. The fire company has done a more active thing now, reporting system, and that is going to be given up to the council before each council meeting, so you know exactly what call they went on and what was entailed to you. So they have moved forward. They are doing a wonderful job within the fire company itself, and I applaud them for their efforts. Any questions in regards to the fire company?
If not, thank you for your report, Councillor Smith.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll now move on to, and I also want to thank the Crossroads Fire Company for the work they do. I think it's something that is, they're all volunteers, and it is something that is invaluable for our community and keeping everybody safe. So kudos to the fire company and the executive and for all the work they do. And thank you, Councillor Smith, for your work on behalf of the fire company. Recreation, culture, and events. I'll ask Councillor Steve Gallant to give his report, Chair of the Committee.
Thank you, Your Worship. For the month of March, Recreation, Culture, Events Committees. The committee met on Tuesday, March 8th, and discussed agenda items that included the draft for 2022-23 operation of the capital budget for the Department of Parks Master Plan, new COVID operating guidelines, spring-summer planning, updates from Events and Arts, and Culture and Youth Centre. The Arts and Culture meeting, we're meeting this Thursday. Our art programs are still up and going. Our spring adult programs through the community. Move down to Stratford Youth Centre and Council. The Youth Centre hosted their 2021 Youth Awards. Myself and Mayor Ogden was president of those awards and holiday party. The event was cancelled. I was on February 11th, but the event was cancelled in December as a result of COVID shutdown. The mayor and myself were in attendance to help present the awards. This year's awards included top 3 volunteers in each age group, Youth Choice Awards voted on by youth members within the club, and Years of Service Awards and other awards chosen by staff. The awards were hosted at the Stratford Emergency Services Building, which allowed us to maintain social distancing, and in total 32 youth members attended the awards. In 2021, Youth Centre members had a record-setting year of 2,074 hours, volunteer hours. Considering activities were reduced due to COVID restrictions, pretty large. this was pretty amazing number of hours volunteered by Stratford youth. The Youth Council and Leadership Committee hosted their annual walkathon on March 4th. The members collected donations and walked for 24 consecutive hours around town center. I believe Mary, you attended and dropped in a donation.
Yeah.
I was there too, and I walked around with the kids, and that day in 24 hours we raised just short of $4,000.
I was tired. I walked around one lap and I was tired out. They walk fast. They walk really
But
fast.
it's really nice, so,
Yeah.
it's, I mean, 24 hours and walk, you know. I said, I used to do the night shifts. I said, who's on the night shift tonight? And they all raised their hand. They're young and brave, right? But, yeah, they did a great job, and they're just short of $4,000. It was pretty nice for 24 hours. And then everybody that contributed, thank you, and emails, and everybody who donated money was great. Myself and Jeremy and Dwayne, thank you, thank you. Youth Center will be hosting an online auction now, March 21st, 27th. So if you know anybody, they're going to have an online auction. So local businesses and individuals will be donating items for the public to bid on. Donation are being accepted until March 15th. So if you know anybody, any business, a restaurant who want to donate, or know, probably after this meeting, I'll probably hit up with Mr. Murphy. He'll probably donate a few things. But anyways, it's a lot of. I see when people donate things, you see the spirit in their eyes. They're so happy with the fundraising, the kids, and it's really nice to see. And all the money going back to the youth center itself. It's really nice. And these kids, I mean, Steve and I mentioned earlier. I mean, it's a Friday night. The place is full. There's youth there, and there's adults looking after youth, and they're also, it's just it's so great to see. And it's sort of a build. It's going to be a build their qualities, leadership qualities for town and throughout their life, right? Life experiences, right?
Well, they're valuable. I mean, it's so valuable, the volunteerism. I mean, you multiply that 2,000 some hours by minimum wage, and it would be an expensive proposition if we had to pay people to do that work. And they do a lot of really good, just from the heart. They just do it out of the goodness of their heart, so that's great.
And the community campus, the summer of 2022 should see the initial phase of development on the 150 community campus acres located adjacent to Mason Road. The town looks forward to working with the local sport, recreation, social, and cultural groups to make the campus an all-encompassing destination for residents. Several organizations reached out to the town, expressing interest in partnerships on what should be a premier recreational destination in Prince Edward Island. And the fitness and area gymnasium is up and going there. We'll just opened this month, and with the COVID restrictions being lifted in February, and it's maxed out. It's good to see people numbers increasing on a weekly basis. Of course, our outdoor rinks and trail grooming are up to par right now. We're just doing the outdoor rinks are exceptional. I know Bunbury and I know Pondside, and then the workers head there and did a great job in between the thaws and the cold air, and kept her going. And kids are. I know when I was going home last time, that Bunbury rink was full capacity, right, at night. So it's nice to see. And I want to say great work for the guys, the outdoor workers, the maintaining it, and if they're there, you drive by at 1:30 in the morning, and they're out there flooding the ice surface. So it's really nice to see that, and giving back to the community. So, but that's about it for month of March. It's just everything's just was starting to open up, and now hopefully spring now will be straightforward.
Great, thank you for your report. That's great. Any comments or questions for Councillor Gallant? Thanks very much. Okay, we'll now move on to Finance and Technology. Chair of the Finance and Technology Committee is Councillor Gail MacDonald, who's doing a great job as chair and preparing the budget and that sort of thing.
Thank you, Your Worship. So the reports are in your package. Just going to outline a few of the things happening in the department over the last month. So the draft budget presentation was held last evening on March 8th. Comments are being received until the end of day next Tuesday, March 15th. The final draft budget meeting with Council and Management will be held on March 17th at 11 o'clock. The special budget meeting to pass the budget is going to be held on March 23rd at 4 p.m., just before our Committee of the Whole meeting. The department has been working on government claim forms for ISIP funding, working on some new deal allocations for the March 31st, 2022 year end. We're working on an MCEG grant for capital purchases for year end 2022. They met with infrastructure staff to review AP procedures. They have been working with the RCMP on the retroactive pay file, and also working with infrastructure on the land sale from the town to the business park, and attended some meetings with regard to the switch program. At this moment, I want to personally thank the Director of Finance, Kim O'Connell, CAO Crosby, and all the directors, as well as Wendy Watts, a Community Business Engagement Manager, for all their hard work on the budget over, especially in December and January as they were putting it together. And thank you for the input of all council as well for the last couple of months, and I'm looking forward to passing the budget later on this month. So the Finance and Technology Committee met on February 22nd.
Just from your report, I just
Yes.
wonder if you could just give us what AP means?
Yep.
Infrastructure reviewed AP procedures?
Yeah, just one sec, I'll just get my finance director. I usually try to know all those acronyms, but
Just for the benefit
Yep.
of anyone listening.
For sure.
Okay.
Accounts payable.
Oh, accounts payable, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. So the report is in your package from our meeting. We had a little bit longer meeting last month. We went over several items of the draft budget at that time. Presented the budget to the committee members, and they had a lot of input, which was great. We also went over the utility capital budget and the operating budget. And thank you to my co-chair, Jill, for looking after the last part of the meeting. I had made an appointment for 1:30 that day, and the meeting went definitely over that. Also, the income reports from the town income report and the utility income reports are both in your package. Kind of in a nutshell, revenue as of the end of February is up 5.8%. Expenses are down about 2%. And also in the utility, revenue is up, and also expenses are down about 6.7%. The revenue showing up in utility is showing 56%, but that's, if you want a further explanation on that, the finance director can explain. That's just a little, yes, perhaps you can take the floor on that one, Kim.
It's just the receipt of some government funding. We never budget for our government funds.
Thank you, Kim.
Before you leave, Kim.
Yeah.
I notice in your notes here, you have the educational board next door here, their contract or lease is coming up within the year. And I take it there's ongoing negotiations there with those people?
Yeah, well, we're going to be we've been in communication with them just to remind them
Okay.
that it's at the end of December.
Thank you.
Yep.
Just while you're there, if you don't mind, just want to ask, clarify something that I mentioned at the meeting, and I think it's reflected in the minutes, that we, for our capital budget, we were looking at, and I think I used the words borrowing $4.5 million or whatever. But in fact, after I spoke with you, you mentioned that, in fact, that's not the case, that we would have, in the reserve accounts and that sort of thing, we probably won't have to borrow any money at all? Is that-
Yeah, like we definitely, each year we take a look at our reserve account, and we haven't borrowed money. I think at our meeting, I had a spreadsheet showing what years we've actually had to borrow money on the town side, and it's been quite a few years, other than the big purchase of the emergency services facility. But for our normal year-to-year purchases, we haven't gone out for financing in a number of years.
Yeah, That's
Yeah.
good news.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just a question, Kim, perhaps when you're there. I'm just
Sure.
looking at the minutes there, and is it normal that, I know the budget was, presented at the meeting somewhat to the members. Do they normally make a recommendation for resolution come before council to accept the budget?
Yeah, they do. So we have another meeting actually next Tuesday with our finance committee.
And they'll do that?
Yeah,
Oh,
we'll get
okay.
a recommendation from them
Okay.
at that meeting.
Yeah, okay. I just didn't see it here, so that's the way I thought it was. So, yeah, thank you.
That's my report, Your Worship.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Great report. Thanks very much, Kim. Thank you.
Thanks, Kim.
Thank you, Councillor McDonald. Okay, our next committee is Planning, Development, and Heritage. I'll ask the chair of that committee, Councillor Jill Burrage, to give her report.
Okay, in planning, we have 2 ongoing developments. One is the Chenson property off Mason Road, which we've talked about previously, and the McDonald development out in Clearview, Phase 4. So there was updates in both those. There are still some ongoing work on both of those, so there's no resolutions happening tonight on either one, but there was updates on both of those. What you will see later on tonight is the childcare bylaw, text amendments, and I'll wait until we get into that to go into the details of that. Other than that, we discussed short-term rentals. We discussed design guidelines for the waterfront and community campus. We also discussed the affordable housing bylaw as something else we're going to have to look at. And there was a question with regards to the IRAC Red Meadows development and updates there, which we have not received any updates on that. Other items that came up that will be on the slate is solar arrays. Ground-mounted solar arrays are starting to become somewhat prevalent. And so we're going to have to figure out setbacks and placement of solar arrays within lots. So that's something that's coming up. And also the other one was height exemptions. We're all seeing those height variances coming in. And so I think we as a planning board have to look at height and how we're going to adjust maybe bylaws to the needs of the community, building up and not out. So that's another item that did come up. All these items were discussion items. There was no resolutions. It was just questions that came from planning committee or presented by the director of planning. So those are kind of the items on our list. We always include Heritage in this as well, and Heritage have a few projects, or I would say ideas for projects upcoming. Doug Kelly put together a bit of a proposal for out front, the green out front with the War Memorial. So there's some ideas going around that. And then also I did want to recognize Doug Kelly. He did win a 2022 Heritage Award from, so he's been prevalent in our town, and for example, upcoming with the new roundabout, there'll be 2 new streets coming off that roundabout, so just his ideas and his research about what the names of those streets could be. I think there's some stories behind it that I can't wait to show you guys, because he does some pretty cool stuff, pretty good research in behind there, so he's got some great ideas for those 2 streets.
My apologies, I meant to mention him at the start of the meeting as well, as I should give him a shout out, because he is also to be congratulated for winning that award and for all the work that he does. So
Yeah,
I also want to add my voice to that,
That's
those
great.
congratulations.
Yeah, no, he does some fine work. So that is, I would say, the Coles notes of the planning report. If anyone has any questions, feel free to fire away.
I'd just like to make one little comment here. Yes, we're changing our bylaws because of the up and out criteria and the number of people moving to the town of Stratford. I noticed that the city of Edmonton, Alberta went under drastic changes with their planning thing.
Yeah.
Do you guys kind of go out to see what other communities are doing in regards to planning, or like to see what works and what doesn't work?
Oh, yeah, I would say staff here are always looking at what's going on in other municipalities. Edmonton took they eliminated R1 zoning. They eliminated it.
They also eliminated parking.
And they took out minimum parking requirements as well. So, yeah, there's other communities doing some pretty, I guess, forward-looking. I don't know if Stratford's ready for that quite yet, but But those are the things that are coming down the pipe, no question. Those are the ideas that are out there. Edmonton is very much putting an equitable lens, equity in housing. They're trying to find places for people to live inside that city at all different variations. So
They also tackled the short-term rental program too, I think.
they may have, I don't know about
Yeah,
that.
they did.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to see what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah, yeah. You sometimes have to find comparable communities too. You know, we don't compare to Edmonton, right? We would compare to Beaumont, that's right outside Edmonton.
Yeah.
And so those are the kinds of municipalities we would look to. Airdrie would be another one, yeah. Yeah, so although you do get those, it's nice to know of those new ideas coming down the pipe. So yeah.
Good.
So we're having, Jill, we're having discussions on short-term rentals. I know some, Charlottetown,
Mhm.
there's March of 2023, right?
Mhm.
So we're probably looking to get the ball rolling here soon.
Oh yeah, it's on planning's work plan to take a look at short-term rentals. Yeah, yeah.
Where it's the meetings and so on, public meetings and.
Yeah.
I think the plan is to see what comes back from the resident survey,
Yeah.
and then depending on what the response is, we'll put together an action plan from that point.
That's the first step, for sure. Yeah.
Well, the survey, we do, 1,100 people filled out the survey. We get 11,000 in here, so,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
we don't always depend on the survey.
No, but it's a good indication, and
Yeah,
that's
good
what we,
indication,
that's what
yeah.
we agreed
Yeah.
to the way to approach it, that's the way we agreed to approach it, is to look at the results, and
Exactly.
depending on what the feeling of the residents are, that we'll take action accordingly.
Yeah, let's see, there's affordable housing there too. That's a very important topic too, right? A lot of important topics there, right?
Yeah.
And it's connected to short-term rentals, too.
Okay.
So the more short-term rentals, in my view,
That's
the more difficult it is to have
Yeah,
affordable
yeah,
housing.
apartment.
Yeah, there's a number of issues that are tied together, and,
Dominoes.
yeah.
Yeah, so all of that is on the work plan. There's a lot coming at planning right now. So the team's working very hard to keep all these balls in the air.
Yep.
Yeah. Any other questions on the planning report?
And just one question, I think I know the answer, that the ongoing subdivisions that are coming online, I take it there's building permits going out and they're starting to build in those new, I'm talking about the Bunbury one, the Gray Group one, down in Clairview Estates, Antry, they're all under construction, like they were okay for construction, and now houses are starting to be built in there.
Yeah, I can't speak to the day-to-day on that, how many applications would be, and I would suspect, I know a lot of the lots have sold, especially in Kelly Heights. I think they're all sold phase one in record time, so usually the building permits follow that fairly quickly, yeah.
That is true, Councillor Smith. There are a lot of permits and all that are these subdivisions that have been approved recently, and the separate lots are starting to fill.
Thank you. I know, Councillor Smith, I know Bunbury's 3 or 4 there. I drive by inside there. They're digging in the ground now, so.
Yep.
Yeah.
That means more people.
Clearview sold it.
Any other questions? Next up is the building permit summary and building type summary in your package. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Thank you, Councillor Burrage. So we have in front of us the development summary. The first box is the month of February 2022. The total of the month was 1,011,000. And the same for last year, February 1st to February 28, 2021. The total was smaller at 894,150. Just to note, though, there was a lot more in single-family additions last year, and I think that had something to do with COVID. We found there was a spike in a lot of people doing home repairs and things. So the development summary year-to-date, January 1st, 2021 to February 28th, the year total is $1,555,500. And the same year-to-date summary of last year, January 1st, 2021 to February 28th, 2021, was $1,549,100. So it was a little bit similar. The building permit summary, you can see we have the solar array, and as of the February 28th, there was 2 single dwellings permits issued, but just to let you know that right now we're actually at DP 0025, and so just kind of give you an idea that sometimes the numbers of permits issued does not mirror the numbers of permits that are actually ongoing. And then the third, the Town of Stratford building type summary, just gives you an overview of the type of, what type of development it was and the numbers up to the end of February.
Does anyone have any questions on the building permits?
In regards to the ground-mounted solar array, obviously, you need a permit to do that, but solar arrays on the roofs of existing buildings does not need a permit?
I think that's correct,
Yeah, all right.
because
So, I mean,
there is a list in the bylaw that states what you need a permit for and what you don't.
Okay.
A lot of times when it's just revisions, like say new shingles or you're putting new siding on, you don't need a permit.
okay, so it's just an additional, so I'm talking on behalf of Switch here, and it's nice to see ground solar array, but that doesn't capture really what's going on in the community in regards to Switch program, and it's getting off topic, but I just want to try to get that out to the public, that if you're putting one on your roof, you don't need a permit. Putting one on the ground, need a permit.
Yeah, and that's a relevant point there, Councillor Smith, because as Councillor Burrage mentioned, that we are discussing solar arrays. There are municipalities across the country and in North America and parts of the world that their bylaws do have setbacks and all that, and just that's kind of to build upon another question you had earlier. As planners, we always look at other communities and best practices and just to see what other places are doing, because it's an ongoing thing. It's always changing, and we're always looking out to see what some municipalities do better than others, and then we can try to incorporate that in our bylaws if we go that way.
All right, that's permit summary. I'll move into the resolution.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Number PH 013-2022-A00222, General Text Amendments, Town of Stratford Zoning and Development Bylaw, number 45, public meeting. Whereas several text amendments to the Zoning and Development Bylaw, number 45, have been identified to bring child care facility up to date with the PEI Government Early Learning and Child Care Act. Minor text amendments are required to aid in clarification to section 11.3.6 medium density residential zone for lot coverage and other text amendments bringing updated language to improve the zoning and development bylaw number 45. And whereas pursuant to section 3 of the zoning and development bylaw, it is required that a public meeting be held to solicit public input from residents. Be it resolved that an amendment to bylaw number 45 be brought to a public meeting on March 23rd, 2022 to solicit public input from residents. This resolution bears the recommendation of the Planning and Heritage Committee as discussed at a meeting held on February 28th, 2022. So moved.
Have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Okay, discussion.
So yeah, this basically an application came in and they found that what we have in our bylaw does not align with the current Early Learning and Child Care Act. So the language that our planner is proposing is to bring that alignment in place. It has to happen. So yeah, that's the catalyst for this particular text amendment.
Any comments or questions?
Yeah, will this meeting be held in person or by Zoom or both? And number two, do we have a time for that meeting? Because we have a date but not a time. Or is that going to be on the resolution?
I'm not sure that it's necessary at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. And Wendy's not here, or I don't know if there is an answer to that particular question
I
right
think the
now.
principle is that we want
Just to
council
let it go.
approval to have the public meeting and.
Okay, that's good.
As long as-
I'll withdraw my question.
The one question I had, and I'll bring it up again because I know I asked this in planning board, but so this is particular to the medium density residential zone R2. We do not need to apply this to R1 and R3? Any other zones?
Oh, yeah, the lot coverage is just R2. What was your question again, please?
Minor oh, sorry, that's for the law. Oh, okay, I know, okay. All right, so there's the Early Learning and Childcare Act. And then the text amendments stating the clarification. Oh, okay, for
Yep.
lot coverage. So there was, in R2, duplex lot coverage was, the lot coverage percentage wasn't included in the R2 zone, which was just an error. So
correct.
we're using this opportunity to put that back in. Sorry, I was mixing the two up, yes.
Okay, we've got a motion moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Motion carried.
All right, that's it for me, I think, tonight, so.
Okay, I want to take this opportunity to thank you, Councillor Burrage, for the work
Oh,
that you
Wait,
did.
no, hold on, there
Oh,
is
go
another
ahead.
one, sorry. Oh, no, that's just an attachment, sorry, go ahead.
Okay. I want to thank you for the work you did as Vice Chair of the Finance Committee as well. I think, your contribution was greatly appreciated, so thank you for that.
Oh, I don't take much credit there.
Well, I think the
There
committee
was
did
a lot happening between Gail and Kim there, I think, and Wendy, yeah.
Anyway, thank you. The other thing I wanted to do was I wanted to thank Blaine Yataby. This will be his last public council meeting, and he's leaving us to go to be closer to family up in Upper Canada, I guess, up in Ontario. And so we wish you well, Blaine, and thank you for, I just want to publicly thank you for everything that you've done for the town over the years that you've been here. And just, it's been great having you here, and I wish you all the best in the future.
Thank you very much. It's been actually quite a great experience working here. I would say, to be totally honest, I've probably really enjoyed 98% of my time here. And it's been you don't have to ask about the other 2%, but it's been a great experience. I'm really fortunate to have a great manager like Kevin, and the team. We really coalesce and work together. And yeah, I'm actually going to Wayne Gretzky's hometown. Just to be closer to family and all that. Kind of was my goal to do that. But I do want to thank everybody, and also, Mr. Mayor, in due respect, my name is Yataby, and you've always mispronounced my name, but that's okay. So, it's not a very common name, even in Japan, so I'm fine with that. So, thank you very much.
Well, Mr.
everybody.
Yataby, I want to thank you for your contribution. You've done a great job. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. It was,
Thank you.
pleasure working with all you people.
Thank you, Blaine.
And my apologies for mispronouncing your name all these years. I put the emphasis on the wrong syllable. Yeah. Okay, we now, thank you very much for your report, Councillor Burrage. We'll now move on to item 13, infrastructure. Deputy Mayor Clow, I'll ask for your report.
Thank you, Worship. We did have a meeting on February 22nd. The minutes are in your package. Mostly what's in that will be in my report. The wastewater treatment plant, as you know, is continuously, as we drive by, they're still grading, and it seems like it's going on forever, but I guess there is a method to their madness, and they hope to be finished this week. And we'll be waiting for the topsoil coming in the spring and the hydro seed. So that will come to an end. It seems like I keep reporting on it, but it is what it is. They're there working every day as we drive by, and so they're doing a great job, I guess.
Drive by and say, who's paying for this?
Who's paying for that? I guess we are. Anyway, so that'll be ready to go in the spring. It'll be nice to see grass there. Infiltration reduction, continue to monitor and assess the sanitary sewer collection system. The dry storage building, they're still working on that, but it's expected to be completed by the end of the month. And we'll be moving in there with our items that will be going into that cold storage shed. The new water reservoir, a review is being completed by the consultant to determine the size of the reservoir to be added. The RFP for design services will be issued when these designs are finalized. The pondside watershed restoration, an RFP has been issued to engage a consultant to develop the plans and oversee the construction involved with the restoration of Kelly's Pond and Moore's Pond. Questions have been fielded on the scope and deliverable of the project, and the submissions deadline for the proposals have been extended to March 11th. The community campus site servicing, an RFP has been issued to engage a consultant to develop the plans and oversee the constructions involved with the water, sewer, storm, electrical, roads, and active transportation infrastructure for the community campus site. The submission deadline for receiving proposals is March 16th. The infrastructure staff have been busy maintaining the rinks and clearing snow, hydrants, and lift stations. They're still painting here in the town hall. Replacement of heat pump filters that they do annually at the town here, at the Department of Education next door and here. Salting and sanding, snow removal, answering bylaw complaints, investigations are ongoing in that department. Water system sampling and maintenance is ongoing. Water and sewer inspections and water turnoffs for the development is ongoing. And during the month of February, there was a minor residential sewer lateral blockage on Harbor View Drive. The investigation showed an issue with the owner's portion and a slow section in the utility portion of the lateral. A cleanout is being installed to allow the utility to provide regular maintenance on this section of the lateral. There was a fire hydrant broke on Captain James Crescent in the new subdivision, and it's going to be repaired in the spring. So that's my report, Your Worship, and if there's any questions on this report or the minutes of the February 22nd meeting.
Any questions or
we'll try to
comments?
answer.
Just wanted to say I'm glad to see the tenders going out for
Yeah.
community campus. That's great.
There's three big tenders going out there.
Yeah,
When you
wow.
look at the water reservoir and the Kelly and Moore Pond and
That's a really
and the
significant,
campus.
that's a very significant milestone, so
Oh,
thanks
big,
for that.
Big projects, and hopefully we'll. Yeah, Kelly's in Moore Pond. Yeah. So there's a lot of work to be done there, and it's hopefully we'll get some with the RFP. We'll be going forward with that.
Great.
Yeah. Unless there's anything you want to add to that, Jeremy? Yeah, it's I think everything's on straight ahead.
I just wanted to mention that we received the final letter with regard to our funding on the community campus. So the active transportation funding, the letter was received today. So final piece of the puzzle. So hope to have construction started in July. So just want to add to that.
So just on a total of that total funding was around $14 million, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, which is great.
It's great to see that.
That's great
Thanks
news.
to the province and the federal government for their help with that.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great milestone. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Okay. If not, we'll go to, thank you very much for your report, Deputy Mayor. We'll now move to Committee of the Whole. Anything from Committee of the Whole? Anything to report? No? Okay. Okay, next item is sustainability. I'll ask the chair of that committee, Councillor Darren McDougall, to give his report.
Thank you, Your Worship. Our committee met March 2nd. We began with some business arising from our last meeting, and Katie updated us on the Municipal Natural Assets Initiative. That's in your package. The CAO spoke. These are recurring agenda items that we tend to discuss, and updates and whatnot. The PACE switch program, the update which the CAO previously in his report alluded to. One of the conversations we did have in regard to it, and we'd already had this conversation, but we tackled it again, was the the lien process. The committee collectively agreed that the downside of the lien process was such that we felt that it wasn't necessary compared to the upside of not having it, with a limited to no default in the program and mechanisms already in place to collect funds should a default occur. So we felt that it was an overreach and unnecessary, and a lot of staff time. Financially, it was about a $500 bill per project. So when you're getting into the volume of projects that we're doing, with the low probability of default, it didn't. The committee collectively agreed that it was somewhere that we felt was not necessary. That, however, will be before council for more discussion. The Bunbury Forest Land Protection, the CAO gave us an update on it. Katie spoke to the Kelly Pond restoration. Then we get into some new business, the community campus update, which the CAO again updated the group, and he's alluded to that again tonight here in his report, and we've touched on it in the infrastructure report as well. Katie had a discussion with the Climate Journal project, which again is in your package there. That is summarizes our meeting for March, if anybody has any questions. Your worship, you would have one?
Yeah, I just a follow-up to, I wasn't able to attend the March 2nd meeting, but I was at the one before, and I asked a question at that, and I think Katie was, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but maybe follow up for the next update or whatever. I asked if there had been an update to progress against our energy plan that was established back, I believe, in 2016 or something like that. Just see how we were doing against that, you know, because it's a really ambitious plan. We're looking at 30% or 6% for, based on our 2016 numbers, I think. So it's something that I think, you know, from an accountability point of view, I guess we need to kind of report to the residents how we're doing with regard to that. It's been about 6 years since we set that target, I think. So that's all. And I know you probably don't have it. I just maybe we could follow up for the next meeting.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
You're indicating a progress report, so to speak, from
Just,
from
yeah,
Katie
how we're
and-
doing, if we have any estimates or any basis for, I know there were some measurement criteria established as part of that plan, and just wondering how, you know, where we are with regard to the plan that was established.
Yeah, I'm sure Katie will do a good job of putting something.
Yeah,
together for
and she
sure.
probably just hasn't had a chance to get at it yet, but it's been a busy time, so, but it is something I think is fairly important to get out sometime over the next couple of weeks or months or so, if possible.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Well, then you get into, it's a good point, because then you get into like the campus development, and you start to think about, you know, a lot of that was a corporate plan, like there's kind of corporate GHG reporting, and then there's community GHG reporting, like a lot of this pay stuff would be under community GHG reporting, but our corporate goals for GHG, you start to look at this campus,
It's
and
30%.
you know, our rec center, and you know, and so the amount of GHG that, you know, it all kind of filters into your asset management piece too, right? Like that climate lens. So like, do you come down to, you know, how do you square all that at some point if we're trying to meet our climate energy plan?
Well,
And
I
we're
guess-
building these facilities that will obviously produce GHG. You know what I mean? There's a lot of these things happening at once.
The one thing that really complicates it is we're working on the baseline of, I believe it's 2016 population numbers, and on a per capita basis, which is 6% for the town, and based on our I think on our buildings, on the town-owned buildings, it's something like 30%, is my understanding.
Yeah, we had a staff member that was here temporarily working on that program through a incentive program. And we do have all that information. And the good thing about the PACE Atlantic program, they're tracking all that information for us. There's all kinds of data that they're able to provide for us. But myself and Katie will dig out that report and we'll get some more information for you. But, you know, the stuff we're doing with the community campus and, you know, the added solar that we're going to be putting on the emergency services building at some point, that'll all help in our reduction strategy. Transit, there's a whole bunch of information that needs to be compiled, and I agree it needs to be updated, so we'll look into that for sure.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
I mean, another piece too is like, you know, if this Bunbury forest piece happens, you know, that's identified potentially as a carbon sink, right?
Exactly.
And so then can we counter that against some of the, I don't know how that works, but yeah, there's lots of considerations there right now that we probably have to figure out.
A lot of moving parts, and I know Katie's very smart when it comes to this, and she's been doing a great job so far, but we'll dig into that, but
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, we can have a discussion offline on it too, because I think it's important that we look at other funding sources for this too, that there might be some help, you know, to do the study or whatever, to do all the work that's required. There might be some funding out there somewhere that we could
Actually,
access.
this course that I'm in is put on by the FCM, and I have a couple of websites written down. I connected with the city of Guelph has a whole GHG community energy plan team, and so there's an engineer. He's a mechanical engineer on there that said he would send us everything that they have if we need to adapt our asset management plan with a climate lens. So yeah, there's lots of stuff out there to help us, and funding, I think. So
Great.
Great,
yeah.
great. That's good news.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
I'd just like to mention about the switch program and the cost, again, of fuel, home heating fuel. Now, we always have a little graph of these public meetings in regards to how much you have to pay for the switch program and how much you're going to save in energy. I think that number is going to drastically swing because of the price of fuel has gone up. The town of Stratford has this program in place. It is well used and could be used a little bit more by people of this community, so please check it out. You will save money on your home heating fuel and or other energy needs within your house. So there are lots of public meetings, and it's just a matter of a phone call, and we'll hook you up with what needs to be done. Thank you.
Thanks. You done?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Thank you very much for your report. And I also want to thank you personally, Councillor McDougall, for championing the SWITCH program, and congratulate you for the success of the program. I think you're doing a great job with the leadership on that program, so thank you very much for that. Okay, next item is my committee, accountability and engagement. We had a meeting. It was an informal meeting. We didn't have a quorum, so we were unable to have a formal meeting. There's a couple of the members got called away at the last minute and weren't able to attend, so we were unable to actually have a meeting. So we did have a discussion about a couple of items, but obviously no recommendations or anything like that. The one thing I do have to report is the survey, the resident survey closed yesterday, and so far I believe we've had about close to 1,100 or over 1,000 responses. So I think that's a really good indication of a really valid, with a high confidence level for a survey. So I think that's a good thing to know. I want to thank the residents who filled that out and completed it online and provided their input to help guide some of our decisions that we have to make over the next year or so. Yeah, any questions on accountability and engagement? If not, we'll go to Human Resources. Chair of that committee's Deputy
Nothing
Mayor.
to report at this time, Your Worship, but I will be meeting with CEO Jeremy Crosby, our new CEO, to see what going forward, what we can set up there for a meeting.
Yep, that's great. Thank you. Any At this point, I guess item 18 is inquiries by members of council. Any inquiries by any member of council on anything which isn't on our agenda, or anything that they want to inquire about the town, anything at all?
I would like to point out that we are wearing ribbons tonight, and I take it this is in regards to Ukraine, the ribbons, or is this kidney?
Ukraine.
Ukraine. So I just wanted to state that we are wearing ribbons tonight in view of Ukraine. And it's, yes, this is about Ukraine, but this is about an aggression towards another country, whether it's Ukraine this time or any other country in the world. I feel that we have to take a stance from time to time and say this is what is going on, or what has happened and will happen is wrong. And I do support these ribbons tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. I think that's an important statement. I think we're all conscious of what's happening in that part of the world, and it's hopefully it's able to come to a conclusion without any further loss of life, and it's a terrible situation, and I think we're all conscious of it. So thanks for bringing that to our attention. Any other inquiries by any member of council? Anything anyone else would like to? Okay. We'll move to other committees. Stratford Seniors Complex. Deputy Mayor Clow, you're chair of that committee.
Everything's pretty well status quo there. The senior home, everything's good. We did have some issues with snow, but as you know, that's been cleared up, and we did go there and move some snow from the patios, and they're all happy. Our caretaker Jerry's on holidays now, and Les McAchron's looking after things there. One item that Kim mentioned to me, that she was speaking to a person with the North Shore Senior Housing, and they have 5 vacancies. If anyone knows of someone looking for subsidized housing in the Stanhope area. So they just wanted to get that out there, that if anybody is interested in moving out in the Stanhope area, that there is some subsidized housing there. There's 5 vacancies. So,
As long as the price of gas goes down.
yeah. Anyway, that's my report for the seniors home, Your Worship.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, any appointments to any committees to report?
There's
Oh,
community
sorry, go
campus. Community campus is B.
After the seniors.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't.
No worries.
Yeah, go ahead. Community
worries.
campus. Chair of the Community Campus Implementation Committee is Councillor Jill Burrage. So, please.
It's not a big report, but a lot of it has been covered through infrastructure, and but yeah, the big ones being that we did receive the funding for the 3 applications of $14 million. The RFP, town RFP, as Gary was talking about in infrastructure, has gone out for the campus site servicing. Also, the RFP, the province had an RFP out for architecture and design, and that's closed, and they're weighing through those proposals, I think, now. The Upland report, the community campus concept and master plan report, we've received, we've reviewed it internally, and it's back to Upland to, it went to the committee. We did have a committee meeting, and they all reviewed it. We got feedback, and it's all been fed back to Upland. So we'll be getting a revised copy here soon, and it will be coming to be presented at council and hopefully adopted here, likely at the next town council meeting, I suspect. And then, yeah, the other thing would be that's up there is the design guidelines. I have we've talked about it, planning would be the other thing for the community campus. And finally, yeah, the other thing we talked about at the committee is there's going to be there'll be 3 agreements with the province in different capacities. There'll be a memorandum of understanding for the purchase and sale of that piece of land to the province. There'll be a memorandum of understanding for site servicing and how we're going to figure that out between the school and the town, costs and if we can find things that we're, both need and work together on. And then finally, there'll be, I guess it'd be a shared use agreement is what we call it, eventually between the public schools branch and the town of Stratford to kind of say, to kind of be able to use these public pieces of infrastructure to the max, right? And so maybe the town will be able to utilize the gym sometimes when the school's not using it, and the town might be able to, use our soccer fields or something nearby when we're not using it. So finding those shared use agreements or shared use pieces that we can benefit from, both of us. So that'll be in play too and being worked on by Jeremy Pierce and his team. I think that's it for what's going on with the community campus.
Did you mention
right
the survey? Maybe I missed it. The surveying that's done for is that planned or?
So that will be done, yes, with, I don't know if it was covered under the RFP or not, but in order for us to align that road,
Yeah.
a survey will have to be a part of that for sure.
Yeah, there'll be a survey completed for our road portion and make sure that it matches in with what the province is planning for the school, but the school property will also be surveyed out, but I believe the province will be involved with that and looking after that part, so.
So is it part of the RFP or is it separate? Is it separate from the RFP or is it?
Well, the RFP it'll be part of the RFP for
Okay,
our road
okay,
alignment,
yeah.
for sure, but portion of the school, that'll be their portion with regard to that survey.
That's great, thanks.
Essentially, a lot of the road alignment will be the boundary of the school, so it's
Yeah.
almost being covered just in the road, right?
It might make sense for us to cooperate on that one and get it done
Yeah.
at the same time, but
Yeah.
we'll have discussions with the folks from the province on that.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, and that's great to have that good relationship with everyone. I was at the committee, and everybody works together to get to the end of getting the school built and the community campus developed. So it's great to see that synergy and that cooperation. So, and that's under your leadership. So thank you very much for leading that.
Yeah, the province and the town we've worked together right from the get-go on this, so it's proven to be a really great experience, truly, to have the province sitting in and the town sitting together to help bring these things together. So it's great that they enable us to do that. And also on their planning committee, I sit on that one too for the school. So not an official town capacity. I'm looked at as a resident, but they knew that I was a resident that, had a lot of knowledge about the background in this. So yeah, lots of synergies there that I think we're benefiting from for sure.
Well, it's a good mix of expertise. You've got people like Fred Heralt and others that are, have expertise in different areas, and yourself. And also, it's a great vehicle for communication because every issue that comes up, it gets talked out and resolved. And it's a really good model for any cooperative effort. But I just think that the members are really, who is on that committee, it's really well thought out to have those people at the table that really have the knowledge, the expertise, and the skills to be able to get things done. And a lot is getting done. So thanks very much for your leadership there because it's going along really well.
Yeah, it's coming along.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for your report, Councillor Burrage. Any comments or questions on the report? If not, and I already asked, there's no appointments to committees. I kind of got ahead of myself there. I do have a proclamation, and I'll read that now. And this is for Kidney Foundation proclamation signed today. Whereas each day, 1 in 10 Canadians learn that their kidneys have failed, and that number is on the rise as 45% of new kidney patients are under 65. Their survival will depend on dialysis treatments or a kidney transplant. In 2021, kidney disease was the 10th leading cause of death in Canada. There are currently 100 people in Prince Edward Island receiving hemodialysis treatments three or more times a week. 23 people receive peritoneal dialysis in their homes. One islander received a kidney transplant compared to 5 in 2020, and 11 patients are waiting for a kidney transplant. Short-term final assistance requests increased significantly in 2021, with 141 islanders receiving close to $27,000. Whereas the Kidney Foundation of Canada is the only national health charity serving the needs of people living with kidney disease through funding research, providing educational and emotional support programs, promoting access to high-quality health care, and actively promoting awareness of and commitment to kidney health and organ donation. And whereas March 10th, 2022 is World Kidney Day, and the theme is Bridge the Knowledge Gap to Better Kidney Care. The Kidney Foundation Atlantic Branch aims to raise awareness of the importance of our kidneys to our overall health and to reduce the frequency and impact of kidney disease and its associated health problems. Therefore, I, Mayor Steve Ogden, hereby proclaim that the month of March be observed as Kidney Month in the town of Stratford. I urge all islanders to become aware of your own kidney health and learn about the role your kidneys play in your body and the kidney disease warning signs to look for, as well as the awareness of the organ donation registry. Signed today by myself, March 9th, 2022. So proclaimed. So that's that. Any other business that anyone would like to bring to the table before we close? Not? Motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Thank you. We're now adjourned. Thanks, everyone.